Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chaz Kayato, and the topic of today's discussion is going to be my review on a master's degree from American College of Education. So first and foremost, I received my master's about a year and a half ago from American College of Education, and that master's degree was in education, specifically curriculum and instruction. So first, I guess I should give you my pathway to getting a master's degree from there. I've mentioned it before, but I graduated from a brick and mortar school over a decade ago, and when I got back into education, I needed to get certified. My first foray into teaching, I did not finish the certification process, so I needed to get certified my second time around after COVID when I got back into teaching. So the program that I went through is a program called iTeach. Now iTeach is in maybe 15 states now, and nearing the end of my time with iTeach, I saw an interesting ad or whatnot that said that American College of Education would accept the courses that I had taken for my certification for up to 12 hours towards a master's degree. And so I looked into it, and the master's degree that gave me the most transfer credits was curriculum and instruction, and iTeach, the partnership between iTeach and ACE, allowed me to transfer in 12 credit hours from my certification program. And so the total number of hours for the master's was 34. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I already have maybe a little over a third of the degree completed just because I had done this other program. So I did a little bit more research. It was a very affordable program. I think each credit hour was maybe a little over $200. There is a fee in addition to that, a technology fee. I don't know exactly what it is now. It might have been $45 or so. It might have been somewhere around there back in 2022 or so when I started my master's program. So I took the dive, and I started the program, and just the master's programs are a little different than the doctorate programs that that I have been talking to you guys about. The classes in the master's programs were all 5 weeks. And so once again, I'm only talking about curriculum and instruction. I don't know if like the RN programs or anything that's not related to education, I don't know how those are, but my experience with education in the curriculum and instruction program was that all my courses were 5 weeks long. The vast majority, I think all except one, was a 3-hour course, and then I had one 1-hour capstone at the very end. So the courses are really manageable. I only took one course at a time. So essentially, they're a 5-week course, and then you get 1 or 2 weeks off in between sessions, in between terms. And so I don't know if you're allowed to take 2 classes at the same time. I would assume you could, since you can take multiple classes in the doctorate program, but I never did in the master's program. I probably would have if I knew that I could. I probably would have. And if you can, I do think that the courses were all very manageable. I did not think we're talking about maybe, depending on the course, as low as 3 hours of work a week, average probably being 5 hours, and then there might have been a couple classes that were like 7 or 8 hours a week, but that might have not even been every week. That might have been only some of the more challenging weeks. So very manageable load, and I felt that for the most part my experiences with the teachers were really good. There were a couple teachers that were a little bit more difficult to get in touch with, but I I can see that at any school, so I don't really think that that's a reflection on ACE. I think uh, you would find professors at any college, anywhere you go, to be more or less to your liking. So overall, though, my experience was very good. I feel like I learned a lot. It did a lot of building off of what I had just done with my certification courses. So I felt comfortable with the material. I never felt overwhelmed. Um, it took me maybe about 9 months. I actually started the program in January, and I think I finished in maybe October. So maybe 10 months. Now, granted, that was with 12 hours um, already being taken care of when I entered the program. But I could see if it is possible to take 2 classes at a time. Once again, I think it's very manageable. You could probably graduate with a master's from ACE in around half a year. And that's awesome. You're talking about a very inexpensive degree. I think ACE has it at less than $10,000. Once again, that is just for the curricular instruction. I can't speak for any of the health, any of the nursing, anything like that. I don't know. I don't know much about that side. But in terms of being a teacher, managing a full course load, involved in extracurriculars, I never really felt overwhelmed. Now, there were some weeks, especially with it being 5 weeks long, you can feel like some things are kind of rushed. So you feel that pressure to get things accomplished really quickly. That's something that you need to know. These classes go very, very fast. So another thing that may help you decide if you want to do an ACE program. I've found that in the doctorate programs, there's very, very little in the way of video lectures. There are a lot of short little video clips in the doctorate program, but there's really no lectures. There are lectures in the master's program, and some pretty good ones too, but they vary. Okay, so I know one of the things I was expecting when I came into the program was, okay, I'm gonna watch the weekly video, and it's gonna be a lecture, right? It's gonna be 45 minutes, an hour, and I'm gonna learn a lot from that video. And I did learn from the videos, but they're not long traditional lectures. They're generally pretty short, and you may have multiple ones. So there might be a few 5-minute videos, maybe in total 20 to 30 minutes each week. There are some weeks that have 40, 45, maybe even an hour worth of videos that you need to watch for any specific course that you're taking, but it does vary. So if you're expecting to have a lot of video lectures, I just want to give you the heads up that that's not the case. So what do you do in those classes? Well, you do watch the videos. There are weekly readings. Sometimes it is from a magazine or some type of article that they'll send. Sometimes there's a book that you'll have access to through the ACE library, and you'll just be reading different chapters from that book. You will also each week be doing a discussion board. So for discussion boards at ACE, you have a main response to the prompt, and then you're also required to respond to 2 classmates throughout the week. Okay, so I think usually your main response is due usually on Thursdays, and you have to respond to two classmates usually by Saturday. So you have the readings, you have the videos, you have the discussion boards. There are also quizzes. Okay, so if I remember correctly, each week had a quiz. They're not very long. I can't remember the top of my head. Maybe between 5 and 10 questions. Nothing crazy. And then at the end of each course, if I remember correctly, there is an exam. These exams are not super long. They are timed, but um, you don't need to worry about cramming for them. ACE makes it pretty clear. They just want to make sure that you can access the answers that you need to fin. There's not a lot of gotcha questions. So I did fairly well on the quizzes and the exams just from keeping up with the readings. And so overall, I think it's worthwhile. I know for the school district I'm in now, I got a bump in pay for doing a master's program, and it was enough of a bump that really, after 3 or 4 years, it would have paid itself back. So it was worth doing. And I know that some teachers that I've talked to actually have money from their district that they can use towards a master's degree. And if so, you're wasting that money if you're not doing this. That's free money, okay? Because you use it to get a degree for free or very little, and then you're going to make more money on the back end. And especially if you're a young teacher, if you're in your 20s and you plan on having a 30-40 year career, you're leaving a lot of money on the table long term if you don't get that master's. So there are scholarships that are available. I didn't get any of the scholarships. I applied, I think, pretty much every term. And I don't know how many people get those scholarships, but they are available. So there are some. But otherwise, I think that I had a good experience. It doesn't take a ton out of you. You can manage it as a full-time teacher. My experience was only taking one class at a time because I was worried that I was going to get too deep in the weeds. But looking back, I think that I could have easily done 2 classes at a time, which, when I got to the doctorate program, I was actually doing 3 classes at a time some terms. So that's why I know that I probably could have handled 2. But them being 5-week classes, you do go through the material a lot quicker. So just understand that you got to come ready to work from week 1. I do believe that you can take a term off, maybe even multiple times if you need to. I don't really recommend that, mainly because you have momentum, and these courses are so quick, and the turnaround to the next course is so quick. I think it's best just to keep that momentum. It's not going to take you very long to get through those programs. So if you're thinking about getting a master's degree, really consider looking into ACE. If you have to get a certification and you're in one of the states that do iTeach, I would recommend working with iTeach. Full disclosure, I'm a contracted worker with iTeach now, where I help new teachers that have to go through that certification process. And the reason I went back to work part-time, just a really 1 or 2 hours a week for iTeach, was because I had a good experience with them, and it did lead me to go into a master's program, which has also led me to go to a doctorate program. So yeah, if you have any questions, something that I missed, put the question down below and I'll try to answer it. If there's any other videos related to ACE that you would want me to do a video about, let me know as well. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching this video. Have a good one.